COVID-19, why you do this to me? I really don't like being stuck in quarantine. I have no toilet paper, I don't even have a snack. Hey, coronavirus, I want my life back.
Good evening, everyone. I like this shirt, so I got this shirt a few months ago at Marshall's, and I think it's Bryan Cranston, right? I think it is, but I love the shirt, and actually, quite often, I'll put a suit coat over it, and I think I look pretty cool. I'm sure my kids are going, hey. Okay, you know what? And good evening, everybody. Good evening. How is everybody? How are you, everyone? And that's going to be an important phrase we're going to talk about, and how maybe we don't care sometimes when we say that phrase, and when we say I'm fine, that maybe we don't mean it. This is going to be very important in this show. We talk about certain words, right? Like diet. I'm on a diet. Oh, I got to get on a diet. There's no such thing as a diet. In fact, everything we eat is a diet. If you ate Big Macs and milkshakes every day, that's your diet. Now, if you want to lose weight, you improve your diet. Now, what about mental health? What kind of images come up when you hear the word mental health? Oh, depression, anxiety, bulimia, anything like, oh yes, mental health. I know all about mental health. No, because again, we have taken the meaning of mental health and we have, I'm going to say, bastardized it. We have changed our feeling inside. Mental health. Every single one of you out there today has mental health. Every single one of you has a kind of mental health issue. Now, there are disorders. There is good mental health and there is bad mental health. But when you think about mental health, every single one of us need to think about it in a personal way, or else it can get away from us. And when it does seem to overwhelm us, then we need to really think about mental health the same way we think about health when we have a cough or a cold. We need to think of our mental health. We need to keep our mental health healthy. And I am very glad that a woman who is at the forefront of helping people with mental health in this country is joining me right now. Margaret Eaton, how are you?
I'm happy to be here. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Margaret Eaton is the CEO of the Canadian Mental Health Association. They do some incredible work. And as it so happens, Mental Health Week starts tomorrow, Margaret.
Yes, we're very excited. It's the 69th Mental Health Week, if you can imagine.
You mean we cared about mental health 69 years ago?
CMHA is actually over 100 years old, and it was started back, after the First World War, when war veterans were coming back and experiencing what we would now call PTSD. And so a group of very forward-thinking Canadians got together to say we need to actually support mental health.
And the time, though, it was, there was a lot of controversy over PTSD. Oh, come on, suck it up. So it's been a long fight, and that has been a fight that we have not been able to really let people recognize that you're sick, not weak. When you have a mental health issue, it's only been really a few years.
Yeah, I feel like it's been about the last 10 years or so that people have really started to understand that it is, as you were saying, normal. 1 out of 5 Canadians will experience a mental health issue in their lives before the age of 40. But then that number goes up the older that you get. And I think all of us have friends or family who've experienced some kind of mental health or addiction issue.
That's right. And it used to be something to hide and be embarrassed about. And we talk about that stigma. Now, I want to get to what I had said, because this is a theme for this year's Mental Health Week, and that is, I'm fine. Because I asked you, I think I did. I think I asked you right off, "Hey, Margaret, how you doing?" And you said, "I'm good. I'm fine."
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
why is that sometimes a cop-out?
Yeah, well, it's very common in our society to ask people how they are, but it's also, unfortunately, not uncommon to not expect a truthful answer and not to give a truthful answer. So it's sort of a little pleasantry. We say, "Oh, I'm fine, you're fine, great. Let's move on to the real conversation." But I don't know about you, but I find during this pandemic, people are not just asking, expecting the fine response. Sometimes people are saying, "No, but how are you really doing?" And so
That's right.
we're encouraging people to say how you're really doing.
Now that you mention that, that's right. I'm finding more and more people are really, "Hey, how are you coping?"
Right.
That's interesting, but that is such, I'm guilty of it. I think everyone's guilty of it. Just saying, "I'm fine." Even though
Yeah.
you may be breaking up and being torn apart inside, "Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
fine."
And that's part of that stigma we were talking about too, right? That we don't want to say, "Oh, I feel so miserable today," or, "I'm just barely keeping it together today." We're uncomfortable with revealing that kind of weakness, or what we perceive to be weakness, as you were saying. But having anxiety or stress, especially right now during this pandemic, is so entirely normal. And it's a stressful world. Even outside of the pandemic, we lead stressful, busy lives, and sometimes that's going to affect your mental health.
We have so much to talk about today, folks. So much to talk about. This may go on for 3 or 4 hours. I hope you
I'm
brought.
here.
I hope you brought something to eat. No, we do have a lot to talk about, because I not only want to talk about Mental Health Week and mental health in general, but I want to talk about it as it pertains to isolation. I want to talk about things we haven't thought about after mental health, or after isolation. Are we ready for it? What's going to happen? I want to first of all, though, discuss something that you talked about with the House of Commons Standing Committee on Health. It was a statement that you had made, and it really sort of struck me. Let's take a look at that, because you talked about the echo pandemic, and the hard truth is that our mental health system in Canada already lacked capacity to meet demand before this pandemic began. We must act now to ensure we are prepared for a surge in mental health problems as a result of COVID-19. So this echo pandemic, I'm hearing more and more about this, that COVID-19 is a pandemic, a respiratory pandemic, but you're talking about something else.
Yeah. And what it really is it's a concern that even though we might be physically well and we've gone back to work, that the mental health impacts may be much longer lasting. And if you look at what happened in Fort McMurray after the fires, our CMHA there found that there were instances of PTSD and anxiety and depression that lasted up to 2 years after the actual occurrence of the fires was over. And so we know that there's so many people that are going to be affected by isolation, as you said, older people, people living on their own, people who don't have access to the technology that helps connect them. And if you already have a mental health issue, it could be really exacerbated by this pandemic. So we're concerned that even though we've gone back to work and the physical part is over, there'll be this other pandemic effect of mental illness.
And before anybody shakes their head, before anybody says, "Oh no, not me, not me. I've been dealing with isolation quite well. I can't wait to get back to work." The thing is that we're different people than we were 45, 46 days ago. We are changed. So what's going to happen the first time you get on a streetcar or a subway or a bus at rush hour and people are shoulder to shoulder and somebody coughs? How are you going to react?
Yeah, and this is what we're hearing from other provinces outside of Ontario that are sooner to go back to work. In Saskatchewan, I was hearing that people are feeling afraid to go back to work. You know, the government's done an excellent job of frightening us about not going out and not getting onto a bus. Now we're expected to go out and be with people. And that can be a frightening experience if you're concerned about your health or the health of your children or your grandparents. So I think, yeah, we're going to have some more stress to deal with even when all the doors are open.
Okay, I want to point something out to my viewers because I've always promised that this show needs to be positive. This is not a show to scare you. So these facts and figures we're doing, they're not to scare you. It's just to sort of make you think and be aware of something. But we're also going to do something else. We're going to talk about what we can do starting now as opposed to waiting until it happens. Because the best way to deal with mental health issues is to recognize something at its beginning as opposed to later on in dealing with it. So we are going to get into that. But it's something we definitely need to think about. And so tell me a little bit about Mental Health Week. Because this is a perfect time. It could not have been better planned, I think, to start dealing with our mental health.
It's so true. We think it's wonderful timing. And, you know, even through this pandemic, one of the things that I've been really pleased about is the attention that mental health has gotten through this time. You know, I don't recall during H1N1 or SARS there being this much interest in mental health. And so I found that really inspiring. The government is thinking about it, agencies are thinking about it, and people are thinking about it. It's in the press, it's in the media. So Mental Health Week is our opportunity to just shine a spotlight on the fact that we all have mental health. And this year in particular, our theme is around social isolation, especially in relation to COVID-19, because we know that isolation is very hard on people's mental health. So when we want to build resilience, one of the things we need to do is connect to others. So when the warnings from government first came out, they talked a lot about social distancing. And we were always really against that term. We would prefer it much more to be called physical distancing, because we don't want people to feel that they are socially isolated from each other. And so this week we're encouraging people to reach out to others. You know, use the phone, use your Zoom calls, text, try to make that connection with people. And then when you do have that connection, ask people how they really feel. And maybe try to break down some of those barriers. If you're used to saying, how are you? Then instead of that, you could say, how are you coping? Or, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing? And then maybe we can generate those real conversations where people can express some of how they're really feeling. And that will create more resilience for the future.
Okay, your website has a wealth of information on it. There's resources on how to meet people or how to find help, and there's resources as well to sort of give yourself a bit of a checkup. Now, there's some quizzes on there because it's interactive. And right there, it gives you the disclaimer, these are not scientific, but they're made to make you think. They're made to make you want to go a little further. So we're going to do one, which is fairly simple, and folks can do this at home. I'm going to go to the share screen. Hold on 1 second here. All right, so we're going to do this. Bring that on. There we go. And we are going to do the stress index. What is your stress index? So for every yes answer, I figured this out. For every yes answer, give yourself 1 point. Okay, so you can just jot this down. So let's start off here right now. What's your stress index? Do you frequently neglect your diet? I'm going to go on a yes on that one. I was doing so well. And Margaret, I just lost it this week. I just was eating everything in sight.
Me too. My husband is a baker, and he's bored, so he's baking a lot of cakes. Oh my God. It's fabulous and awful at the same time.
Darn him. Okay, let's go back to this one. I try to do everything yourself. I don't know. Parker, do I try to do everything myself? He had no hesitation. Yes, I do. I don't blow up easily. I don't. Do I seek unrealistic goals? No, I'm pretty good at that. I sometimes push myself, but I try and keep them realistic. Fail to see humor in situations others find funny? No, I'm pretty good with that. Act rude? No, you're a jerk. Make a big deal out of everything? No. Look to other people to make things happen? No. Have difficulty making decisions? Parker? Well, right here. Okay, but this is not an example. Okay, Margaret, don't get me wrong here. Okay, I don't think I do. Complain you're disorganized. Oh yes. Avoid people whose ideas are different than your own. No, because I love discussion. I love arguing. Keep everything inside. Yes, I can. I can tend to do that. Neglect exercise. Yes. Have few supportive relationships? No. I kind of surround myself with people. Use sleeping pills and tranquilizers without a doctor's approval? No. Definitely not. Get too little rest? No. I'm doing pretty good. Have you taken this quiz, by the way, Margaret?
I've not taken this one. I've taken others similar to it.
Okay.
And yes, I recognize myself in this list.
Do I get angry when you're kept waiting? Inside, yeah, I do. I don't like tardiness. I do not. I like punctuality. Ignore stress symptoms? No, I've been very good about seeing them, stopping, pausing. Put things off until later. I'm notorious at that. Fail to build relaxation time into the day? No. Gossip? No. Hey, Margaret, did you hear about Margaret? Race through the day? Yeah. Spend a lot of time complaining about the past? No. And finally, fail to get a break from the noise and crowds? I'm going to give a no. All right, so what's my score? Oh, you did not fill out the form fully. Which? Hold on, I must have missed a question. Hold on, let's make this right. I did not fill out the form correctly. Holy. I think I got all of them. Oh, here it is. Think there's only one right way to do something. No, I always try and find alternatives. Okay, now I can get my score. What is my score, please? You scored 8. You've got your life in fairly good control. Work on choices and habits that could still be causing you some unnecessary stress in your life. So that's interesting. I mean, but it gets you talking, it gets you thinking, doesn't it, Margaret?
It does, exactly. And what I find, it would be interesting to take this prior to the pandemic and see if the pandemic has an effect on your answers, because I'm definitely more irritated now. I think my levels of irritation have gone up, and I'm definitely not sleeping as well. So I'm feeling some of that stress, I think.
So with Mental Health Week, what are you finding is the number one thing that people really sort of go, yes, I need to work on that?
That's really interesting. I think most of us feel anxiety, but what I find is we can be so anxious all the time anyway because of the speed of our lives. So sometimes you don't even realize maybe that anxiety has increased or the stress level has increased. So I think having people taking a look at those kinds of lists where you start to realize that being irritated or not sleeping well might be a sign of anxiety or depression, not just a normal kind of response to how the day is going.
Okay, Margaret, I'm going to take a short break. In fact, one of the PSAs that I want to run right now is the CMHA's "I Feel Fine" PSA. So that's coming up. When we come back, I want to get to some comments. There's been some incredibly good comments here from viewers. One of them is dealing with first responders, how there's a whole different echo pandemic that could happen there. So we'll be right back on Kevin's Isolators. speaking with Margaret Eaton. She is the CEO of the Canadian... What happened there? Yeah. That's weird. Sorry. Margaret Eaton is the CEO of the Canadian Mental Health Association. It is Mental Health Week starting tomorrow, and we're talking about the possibility of an echo pandemic afterwards, and we want you to guard yourself and start preparing right now. Ruth had commented a little bit earlier saying that she doesn't want to tell anybody her score. She wants to know what the other ones are. Let me just bring that one up here. There we go. What are the other scores to the test? Do not want to say my number. Ruth, don't worry about it. This is what the test is about, right? And you don't have to share your numbers. You don't. But I want everybody to say, okay, not to worry if they get a low score. You've got to, it's telling you something. That's your warning light, right, Margaret?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's just saying pay attention. And if you think you might have some issues, then reach out and talk to someone about it. The CMHAs, like CMHA Toronto, people are available to talk to you about some of these issues. And there's some great programs. Bounce Back has been scaled up in Ontario. And Bounce Back is an online and partly in-person cognitive behavioral therapy program. And cognitive behavioral therapy has been shown to be a fantastic response to anxiety and depression. Have you done anything with CBT at all?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah.
And I think they just go hand in hand with a good mental health regimen. It's the thing with mental health, though. It's not like going to see a doctor. Sometimes it's not always a perfect fit with who you're going to see. So if you went and you had a bad experience, or you didn't feel you got anything from it, it's like meditation, right? It didn't work for me, try it again. Try it a different way. Try it with someone else.
Mm-hmm. That's really good advice. Yeah, because not everything is going to work for everybody. And especially with a therapist, you have to find a good match, as you say. I've gone through a couple, for sure.
Margaret, you've seen therapists?
Yes, I have. Yes. I struggle with anxiety and with depression. I have since I was a teenager. It's a lifelong kind of issue that you have to manage. I thank the good people that have helped me through the years, and the good books I've read, and CBT.
Can you put Catherine's comment on? Because I do, again, this is the second night in a row I forgot to put there it is. CMHA.ca. I want everyone to go there, check it out. I don't care if you think you're fine. Just go check it out, because even if you are fine, maybe someone around you isn't. Maybe you're saying, how are you? One of the most common things that people say, and I'm going to talk about suicide, one of them, because we don't talk about it enough, folks. We don't.
No.
It's like that taboo subject. But what's one of the most common things you say to yourself when you find out a friend or someone you know has taken their life? Oh, I didn't know. You know why you didn't know? Because either you weren't listening or they weren't talking. And it starts with talking. So you don't have to go see a psychiatrist right away or a doctor. Just tell a loved one. Tell a friend. And you're going to be surprised, because they're going to look back at you and they'll say, I thought I was the only one.
Yeah, that is so true. I think this is one of the big taboos in mental health, is really understanding and creating safe spaces for people to talk about suicide. So we do have a crisis line number on the CMHA website. I think you've promoted it as well, Kevin.
Yes, and Crisis Services Canada, 1-833-456-4566. Another one is Kids Help Phone. By the way, Kids Help Phone is now helping adults as well, because they've had so many adults getting in touch with them. Text. The where it says text. Parker's putting a graphic up because, again, I was negligent in putting that graphic up. So this is the one for Kids Help Phone, and I salute them for using this. So it's just going to take a sec. You all set? Okay, let's put it up there. There we go. We put up text wellness to 741-741. That is for adults to get in touch with crisis responders at Kids Help Phone. There's also the Assaulted Women's Hotline. And one of the sad facts has been that when we see people who have been abused, physically abused, it hasn't gotten any better with isolation. In fact, it's gotten worse in a lot of cases. And in a lot of cases, a lot of women, a lot of children, sometimes even men, are afraid to seek help because they may get hit. So these places do offer you safe haven. They will come and pick you up. They will teach you how to cover your tracks on your computer so that no one can see what you're doing. So all these numbers are very effective. All you have to do is just reach out.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. And there's been some additional funding from the federal government for shelters for families living in abusive situations, and they're still open during the pandemic. So I hope that people realize they can still reach out, even though we're physically distancing, those services are still available.
I'll put up Dagmar's comment there, Parker. Just down to okay, here we go. I find nobody really wants to hear about how I feel. I have found that ever since I came here, not easy to find someone who cares or is even, that's okay, or is even wanting to hear about what's going on or asks how people are doing. Then Dagmar, keep finding people. You are your own mental health advocate. I want you to keep yelling and screaming, and if that person won't listen, find somebody else who will listen. Reach out. There's crisis lines. So, but you are right, Dagmar. That is not falling on deaf ears right now. You are right. Sometimes you can reach out and you can say to a loved one or a spouse, Margaret, this has probably happened to you. I'm feeling kind of down. Well, get over it then. Cheer up, because not only do we have a hard time reaching out, we have a hard time listening to people and knowing the right thing to say. So, Margaret, what do you say if someone comes to you and says, you know what, I'm feeling kind of down. I'm feeling, and you hear it a lot from them.
Mm-hmm. If you're not a trained psychotherapist, there is a point at which if someone is continually coming to you, I think you do need to say it's time to get other help. But I was also interested with Dagmar. It sounds like she's new to the country. Did it say since coming?
It sounds since coming here. So either coming to Toronto or coming to Canada. I don't know.
Yeah.
And for anyone, whether they're coming to a new city or a new country, it's twice as hard.
It's even harder. Exactly. It's harder for newcomers and new immigrants. And that's where I think it's really good to reach out to other immigrant communities. There are professional immigrant networks. There are social clubs. There are meetups for people from your country or your region of the world. And that can often be a way to kind of get a first start in, especially with other newcomers who will feel the same way you do. So definitely reach out. It's all about social connection. Keep trying, as Kevin says.
Donna has another comment that a lot of people feel the same way about. I tell people I'm okay because they don't want to hear that I'm having a hard time with my husband's death. And there can be this kind of either an exhaustion or this like, oh boy, there's Donna again telling us all about her problems. Mm-hmm. And Donna, I'm not saying that to you. Donna, please, I want you to know that you're with friends here. You're in a safe spot.
Yeah, I know. I would hope that people would be more generous, especially at this time. And that's why I'd say I think during this pandemic, people have been more open to hear how you're really feeling. And people, I think, are wanting to hear that other people are feeling like them. I think we want to make that connection and say, I'm kind of rattled by this. Or, things were already hard enough grieving my husband. Now I have this on top of it. I would just like people to try, just put it out there and see what comes back.
Yeah. And you may peeve someone off because they may just want to hear a quick I'm fine and they want to get going. But you know what? Forget it. Tell them how you are feeling. I have an interesting theory, perhaps, about why people are a little more interested. And I mean, you definitely, we're all in the same boat. So they want to know that other people are feeling like them. So it does. And you're going to be surprised if you start talking to people how many other people are going to say to you, yeah, I'm feeling the same way. But I think it's also too, during this time, we've talked about this, how we have changed, how we have, I think, become more caring of each other, that we want to reach out and we want to help. So I think we're more prepared to hear someone saying, you know what? My kids are driving me crazy, and I'm feeling cabin fever, and oh, you know what? Well, try this, and this, and this. Yeah, I think maybe perhaps we're more
Yeah.
caring.
I think there's really something to that. A lot of these pandemic stories in popular culture talk about how societies break down during pandemics. And we see in the US, people are rushing off, gun sales are up because somehow they think there'll be more looting. And yet, what often happens is the opposite to that. There's more social cohesion during times of crisis. That's when people come together. And I think you're quite right. This is a time when we are more willing to listen.
I think so. Margaret, this has been fantastic. What's that? A lot of people talking about Roots community. What's with the Roots community? Okay. Some people are talking about Roots. I have to do things live. I had to do things here because so many people are talking about Roots, and Parker was noticing it too. I want to find out Roots. It's a community center run by CMHA. Oh, okay. I should have asked you, Margaret. Roots is a community center run by CMHA, and people are exclaiming about it and how wonderful it is. I mean, it's just one of the many services we're not even aware CMHA has.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for those comments.
That is fantastic. So check out Roots, ROUTES, Roots Community Center, because I saw someone, I thought they were looking forward to going back to Roots, and I thought they meant like they were a bus driver or something like that. Oh, okay. You know what? I think. Hold on, Linda. Let's bring up. Could we bring? You know what? I'm just going to say, yeah, Linda. You put up Linda's comment there, please, if you could. Serious, I'm not ashamed to tell anyone my problems or abuse, not at all. Good for you, Linda. And if we could all say that, right? And we could all say that. Okay, put up Kelly's as well, because it explains a little bit more about Roots down at the bottom, second last one there. That's why the community center run by CMHA is unique. All the members and staff are consumer survivors of mental health services. And so our concerns are not brought to who we don't know the struggle, right? So these are people who actually do live at Roots is the best. Boy, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
okay.
It is. It's a powerful place. Yeah. And it's all people with lived experience of mental health issues. So there's a tremendous amount of empathy and a really warm welcome when you come to Roots. All
right. So I want to remind people it is Mental Health Week starting tomorrow. Go to cmha.ca today. I want you to, you know what, I'm going to leave you with the best advice for folks right now, Margaret.
I think it is so important that we reach out. I think this is the key message of mental health this week is about social connection. So I just encourage everybody, especially if you have a friend who lives alone, a friend that you're a little bit worried about, or a friend you haven't talked to in a while, or a family member, or an elderly family member, give them a phone call and ask them how they're really doing. And then tell Kevin what the result is.
Yes.
Go back
Please.
to Facebook and post on his site to tell him what your experience is of reaching out to people and asking, how are you really doing?
All right. So let's run the CMHA PSA one more time, Parker, if we could. All right, so it is Mental Health Week, and we want you to reach out. CMHA is a fantastic place to start. So I wish you all the best, and please, I hope you're going to come. Will you come back on?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to. Yeah,
All
that'd
right.
be great.
You're the only other one who has a colorful shirt like mine. So,
Yes.
there we go.
Spring.
All right. Thank you very much, Margaret. Have a great day.
Thanks so much,
Bye,
Kevin.
great. Man, man, that time flew. I was so incredibly interested in what she had to say and what CMHA does offer. And any time that I can talk to any of you, and if I can just reach one person who feels that they want to keep things to themselves, all the better. If we can just help one person. And you know what? I'm so impressed with all of you. I'm watching the comments go by. And you know what you're doing? You're supporting each other. That's fantastic. So there, this is what it's like to reach out. This is what it's like to reach out and find. Yes, thank you all, says Dagmar, because I hope Dagmar feels better. I hope Dagmar feels a little bit better. And Dagmar, I don't want you to stop. I want you to keep growing, keep looking, keep finding someone to talk to. Remember, it may seem so dark. Find a way to open a curtain. Find a way to open the door. Find a way to get outside. If you're feeling down, and isolation is going to do that to you, especially if you're alone, especially if you're dealing with a loss, especially if you're with someone who is not very pleasant to be with. You're missing work. You're missing people. But I want you to start now. This is so important that you start now to really examine your mental health, because if you don't, what Margaret had talked about, that echo pandemic, is going to get you. And it may not happen. You may be so happy to be out of isolation, but it may happen in August. It may happen next year. That's what happens with PTSD, right? It's post-traumatic stress. So you could be just simply getting into a taxi cab in January, and the driver coughs, and all of a sudden it's going to set off an alarm bell, unless you are ready to deal with your mental health right now. So it's Mental Health Week. Don't just let it go by without recognizing it. This is not just another week. So start with cmha.ca. There are so many wonderful sites out there and so many wonderful organizations. Kids Help Phone has a great website as well, full of resources. Don't just go to kidshelpphone.ca, or is it kidshelpphone? No, it's kidshelpphone.ca. Don't just go there if you think you're in crisis. No, go there. And go there if you're an adult, because there's great resources for you, and there's great resources for you dealing with your kids. So I really care about all of you. I know that it can be tough, and times can be tough. In fact, a lot of you are watching this show because you're feeling lonely, or you're feeling that you need some mental health assistance. When it comes right down to it, though, the most important advocate you can have for mental health is not me. It's not a psychotherapist. It's not a psychiatrist. It's not your doctor. The most important mental health advocate you can have is you. If you don't get off your butt and do something for yourself, I don't think anybody else is either. And if they won't listen, find someone who will, and yell it. Go to the top of the CN Tower and yell it. You are your own mental health advocate, and you have to be good to yourself. I talk about that all the time, right? It means something. Just before we go, you know what? A lot of us have packed on a few isolation pounds. I'm sure there's going to be a name for it sooner or later, the isolation weight. Well, we are starting to do we're starting to look forward to social distancing coming to an end and getting out there. And I want to get back to my my bikini body. That's a really bad image, isn't it? So we got you covered on Tuesday. It's a 2-for-1 Tuesday coming up. Here, let me just press this here. I'll take it there. There we go. Because on Tuesday, it's diet. It's exercise. No, it's 2-for-1 Tuesday. Joy McCarthy is a holistic nutritionist, and Julie Tom is a fitness trainer. They've both been on the show. They're both fantastic. They're both extremely knowledgeable. And so we are going to team them up together, and we are going to help you out with the best foods to swear off of and the best way to train as well. So that's all coming up on Tuesday. All right, folks. Here, we'll just go back to my camera here. There. I know it's been sometimes Parker and I use two. He's over there on one computer. I'm over here on another computer, and it goes slow. What happened? And it just it's like lagging like crazy behind. So that's why every once in a while things don't happen very quickly. But thank God for Parker. Thank goodness he is here. So, folks, I'm very serious when I say this tonight. Take care of yourself and take care of each other.
COVID-19, why you do this to me? I really don't like me. I have no toilet paper, I don't even have a snack. Hey, coronavirus, I want my life back. Well, hey, coronavirus, I want my life back. Well, hey, coronavirus, I want our life back.
Hold on, folks. You know what? Hold on. You know, I'm not gonna go off the air for a few minutes. I know that we'll probably lose a lot of the audience here, but that's okay because I want to chat with you a little bit if that's okay. This is totally unscheduled, and I was gonna go make supper, but no, I think this is great, and I saw all of you saying how you were really enjoying talking to each other. So can we spend a couple of minutes together? Can we just spend a couple of minutes? I wish I could talk to you voice and video, but I'm going to be reading, so this is going to be a little disjointed, a little choppy. So I'm going to be reading some of your comments. So I'm going to ask you, how are you? That's what we're going to start with. We're going to start with, how are you? Like I said, there's going to be some silence here as I wait for some of the comments. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I hope I didn't shut the comments off. Oh, it says sure. Okay, sure. Yeah, so just going to spend a couple of minutes here together. If you have to get going, we'll see you tomorrow night. That's great. But we're going to spend a couple of minutes here. Hold on. Yes, sure. Hold on. Everything's been very slow tonight with the internet. Sore neck, says Susan. You know what? And when you have things like that, yeah, it can really affect your mood and your mental health. Aaron says up and down. Yeah, me too. I was feeling really down last night. Okay, Paula, a little sad tonight and not sure why. And I want to teach you something here that I have learned over the years. A little sad tonight and not sure why. A lot of people say, Kevin, how did you deal? How did you finally face up to your anxiety attacks and your panic attacks? Here's what I did. When I felt like that, Paula, when I felt I'm a little sad and I don't know why, then I stopped. And I said, okay. And the important thing is you do this before it really digs its heels in and grows a root in your subconscious. So if you recognize that, oh, I'm feeling a little down, right away, stop. Don't just accept it. And start to trace back. Okay, when did I first start feeling down? Why am I feeling down? Okay. Well, it was because that person there said that to me, and okay, now I can label that. And then can I control that? Can I change that? No. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to take a breath. And then on that, when you take a breath and on the exhale, I want you to let that go. And then go on. Here's what's happened. What's happened is you have stopped because you're thinking. You're not thinking ahead and thinking anymore and worrying and anxious anymore. You're thinking. So I'm feeling down. So you've stopped. So right now you're not letting any other anxiety in, okay? You're in the moment all of a sudden because now you're thinking about the present moment and you're thinking about what happened before, so a little bit of the past, and you're putting a label on something. So what you're doing is you're taking your file, you're putting a label on it, person yelled at me, and then you're filing it. Okay, I can't do anything with that. I'm going to file that in the I can't control that column. Okay, now I'm going to breathe. All right, the person yelling at me or the person saying something to me, I'm letting it go. All right, so now you've stopped. Remember we talked a few weeks ago about defibbing your heart. that when paramedics or nurses or doctors use those paddles, those shock paddles, they're not restarting your heart. That's what we all thought, right? We all assumed that they're starting your heart. No, they're stopping your heart. It's called a defibrillator for a reason. It stops the fibrillations of your heart going like this, because your heart has memory muscle and it beats like this, and it's beat like that every day of our life since the moment we took our first breath. It knows what it's doing. It knows how it's supposed to do it. But sometimes something irregular happens and it's not the regular heartbeat. And so now it's fibrillating. It's going like this. So what they do is they shock it to stop it. And they're saying, okay, stop it. And the hope is that the memory will kick back in and your heart will do this. And that's what you need to do with your anxious thoughts. So when you're feeling down, don't just accept it. Find out why you're feeling down before you start doing this. So you're defibbing right away. All right. So that's what I want you to do. Let me see. Let's see. Oh, okay, Dan. Yeah, that's a good point. I call that know it, name it, do nothing. And that's good. Do nothing doesn't in this case mean, you just ignore it, bury it. No. Know it, name it. Can you do anything about it? No. So why worry about it anymore? Let's see. Okay, there's a conversations going on here that I'm not too sure about. Enjoyed the sunshine today. I hope everybody did. In fact, you know what? Right now, I want you to go to a window. Find a window or look towards a window. Okay, go look towards a window. All right. Let's. Can we? I don't know. You know what? I'll just turn it. I'll just turn this one, and I will. It's there. Okay. There we go. Just look towards the window. I'm going to put that up. Where is that? Is that in the bottom? Yeah, iPhone camera. Okay, you all set? Okay, so there we go. Look out the window. Here in Toronto, a little cloud over the lake, but it's a beautiful day. Blue sky. The sun is still up. Good Lord, it's almost 8 o'clock and the sun is still up. Oh, hold on. I didn't put it back there. There we go. The sun is still up. So the reason I'm asking you to look out the window is sometimes everything just gets really, really dark, right? And this is what happens when you have anxiety and stress and you're feeling bad, is everything starts to close in and then you just have tunnel vision, right? Pull back and check out the sunshine. So going out for a walk, opening the window, taking a deep breath is such a good idea. Okay, what else? What else is on your mind right now? What else is on your mind? There's been somebody who's having some bad thoughts about, or had a traumatic situation with a dog. Those individual situations in our lives definitely do not help, especially if we already have a pre-existing condition of depression or anxiety. So my thoughts go out to you with that. Okay, I'm gonna take just one more. Let's see how people are feeling. Oh, they say I'm doing good, says Kelly. Good. Feeling blessed, says Calvin. What is for dinner, Kevin? Hold on. What do you think, Mark? The jerk chicken? Which one do you have? The tacos? Which one? I'm coming. Just a second. That one? Okay, we're gonna do this one. This is what we're doing. I get the meals. So we're doing the jerk. The Southwestern style pork tacos. That's what we're gonna be doing for dinner tonight. So that's it for tonight. This little unscheduled chat. We'll do this again if you guys want to. Let me know. Let me know what you want. I'm still looking for celebrations. I'm looking for birthdays, anniversaries, anything like that. I'm looking for your small business if you want me to give it a biz bump. So get in touch with me any way you can. You can email me firstaidforyourmentalhealth@gmail.com, or you can text me. I've just discovered I haven't been using Facebook Messenger, right? So I've discovered a whole bunch of your comments that weren't getting through to me. I now have them. So you can use Messenger to get in touch with me. What do you want to see on the show? What do you want to say? Anything like that. But remember, it's all about positivity. So once again, I got to say it twice today. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. And with that, we're going to sign off.